Are you ready to take your moving company to the next level? Then you won't want to miss the Grow Your Moving Company workshop, hosted by Move It Pro. This 2-day event is packed with insights, strategies, and tips on how to streamline your operations, maximize your profits, and take your business to new heights. At the Grow Your Moving Company workshop, you'll hear from experts who have been in your shoes and know what it takes to succeed in this competitive industry. You'll get insider knowledge on how to generate leads, close more deals, and build a brand that sets you apart from the rest. So don't wait. Head over to growworkshop.moveitpro.com to register for the event today. That's growworkshop.moveitpro.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Moving Company Owners Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of moving companies and the people who make them run. From industry leaders to successful moving company owners, we explore their stories, strategies, and insights to help you grow your business and take it to the next level. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned veteran, this is the podcast for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to move your business forward with your host, Jason Bergenske.
Hey guys, Jason Bergenske here with Moving Company Owners Podcast. Today I'm here with Joshua from Kowalski Moves here in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Hey, buddy. Kind of neat. I don't often get to talk to moving company owners that are in the same state as me, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Yeah. So typically we kind of dive straight in, and one of the first things we kind of start with is your history of how you got and found yourself in a moving company.
Yeah, man. So my father started this moving company. He started just doing deliveries, but he started about 28 years ago, kind of out of just a necessity thing where, he had 2 kids. He was about to have me. I'm the third. He lost his job. I think he worked at like a funeral home or something, and he lost his job. And this buddy was like, "Hey, I have a delivery business. Just come work for me." And he was like, "Cool. I can lift things. I'm 5'8", stocky dude. I can do that." And started doing it, enjoyed it, and then ended up just buying his own truck with cash, and was like, let's see where this goes. And then, years later, I grew up doing it. So when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was riding in the truck. We did deliveries mainly for a company called Montgomery Wards, and we did appliance deliveries mainly. Mm-hmm. So like the big 65-inch TVs that weighed 400 or 500 pounds, something that could definitely crush a 3 or 4 or 5 year old.
Not the new LED flat screens that our guys have to move now.
No.
I remember those, man.
Dude,
the whole base was included to it. Yep. It was 6 foot tall, 6 foot wide. Yeah, I remember.
Dude, and it looked horrible, but it was the coolest thing still. Yeah, no, the guys have it easy today. So yeah, we did deliveries all through the state. So we would get up at 4 or 5 a.m., drive down to Miami, then go all the way up to Jacksonville, be home by midnight. It was long days when I was a kid. But it was fun. And then, as years went on, I did it off and on with him. In the meantime, he hired friends. He hired my older brother, and then after that, I toured in a band for a little bit when I was 17 to like 20. And I did that for a few years, and then decided that I needed to change gears and probably step out of the music industry because it's exhausting and you don't make any money, especially in the hardcore scene, that's what I was in. So I came home, got married, and was like, hey, I think my dad's still doing this moving thing. I wonder if he's interested if I step in. And he was very interested and very, very ready for me to step in and start
taking the keys.
Dude, he was so ready. He was just, so I've been running it now for the last 4 or 5 years. And we've seen some serious growth in those 4 or 5 years, which is rad.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool. And that's, a lot of that is, resonates with me also, we spoke a little bit about it, but my grandparents started our moving company back in the 60s, which we now sold a couple years ago. But I literally, they started it back in 68 and my dad came in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And there's pictures of me probably some videos too on old 8mm film, but
Nice.
literally like riding 4-wheel dollies through our warehouse and breaking stuff and running into the trucks outside with a go-kart. And I mean, just stupid things, but like grew up in the moving business, sweeping the trucks when they got back before I could go out on them.
Yeah.
There's a picture of me, which is pretty cool. I'm probably 3 or 4 years old and I'm wearing a uniform, but it's way too big,
It's way
I'm
too
wearing
big, yeah.
a uniform, but it's just cool because it's, and it was kind of the same story for me in the sense of, my dad was running that company and I kind of wanted nothing to do with it. I'm like, man, that is hard work.
Yep.
I saw the struggles he went through with keeping good employees and, being called on a Saturday at 4:00 in the afternoon because a truck was broken down 4 hours away and he had to go deal with it. Like I just remember that stuff and I was like, man, I want nothing to do with that. But then it's funny because similar to me, I went and did other business stuff. And that being said, like I did moving and stuff for the moving company during high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then once I graduated, I went and did my own stuff. And then I ended up finding myself back.
Oh, nice, dude. It gets you.
Back the magnetic force. And it was similar because when I came back there, was just to kind of help out because he was semi-retiring and he was doing a lot of traveling for, he was on the board of directors for Shriners Hospitals for Children. So he was traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And so I kind of stepped in as just to help out. And then it turned into obviously to more. So that's super awesome that you're in it now. What does your dad think, or what's your family think now that you've kind of taken the family business that was always there, but
Yeah, I mean, my dad's definitely excited about it because my other siblings, I have an older sister. She isn't connected to the company at all.
Okay.
And then my brother worked in the company when I was touring, and when I was younger, he did a good bit. But then he moved away. He lived in Alaska. Now he lives in Indiana, I think, which is where we're from. But they're happy that I'm on board with it for now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, they're thankful and not that I'm saying this is all because of me, but since I've joined, we've doubled in revenue every year.
That's awesome.
So, and with very minimal, labor and trucks. We're still unbelievably small, but we can do a lot. It's crazy what you can do with a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when your dad was running the company, was he out on the truck most of the time, or he had helpers? So he was out on the truck most of the time.
The whole time. It was
for all those years.
For all those years, it was him and
which is so taxing. Hired. I mean, that is just so much. I mean, it's just not, obviously. I mean, it's in most people's businesses, it's just not sustainable, and it's really hard to grow.
And there was a time too when I was probably, I don't remember. I was probably like 13. No, I don't know, early teens, where my dad got into, it was a bummer. He loves Trans Ams. He's owned probably 7 or 8 in his lifetime. And he got one, he fixed it up, new paint, had the gold eagle on the front. It was decked out. The day after it got painted, he got in a wreck. It totaled the car, and he got pretty injured. He had like 3 slipped discs. It was crazy stuff. So he had to and it was just him running the company and whoever he could hire.
Yeah.
So at the time, he had his buddy that was helping him most of the time, and he ended up selling the truck to him and essentially all of our contacts because my dad was bedridden for.
He couldn't do it.
Yeah, he was bedridden for like 3 months, and he was trying to figure out what to do. He did some acting stuff because he's always loved acting, and so that paid just enough. But as soon as he got healed up, he was like, I'm gonna buy another truck.
Back on it.
Dude, it bought another truck. It was like he never left. Back was fine. Hasn't thrown on his back since. He ices it every night. He's a tank. That's tank. Good. I'm like, dude, I've thrown on my back 3 times so far. I don't know how he does it.
So tell me a little bit. So you came in around 4 years ago, and then, so what did that look like? Obviously, you were probably having to go out on the truck every day in the beginning, I assume.
Yeah. No, it was me and him for the longest time. I mean, we were doing moves that you should have 4 guys on this.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that. And we're just like, we're running and gunning. So we're just going for it. Just making ends meet and not doing it in the most efficient and smart way.
Sure.
But when I stepped in full time, at the same time, my mom got diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. And so she's good now. She's been in the clear for
that's awesome.
4 years. Yeah, it's huge. But, so I was like, okay, I probably need to step up some more and really take over. And
so your dad can be there with your mom. Yep.
Yeah, so my dad can be there with her mom. Dude, I remember the first day I was able to hand my dad a check and he didn't have to go on the job. It was one of the best days ever. It was like we were moving. This is mean, but I think everybody that owns a moving business can relate. We were moving a hoarder, and it was days of work. And the last day, I was like, I'm gonna take one of my buddies out. I was like, Dad, we're gonna finish the job. You just stay home with Mom. It'll be fine. And it was I was terrified. I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I lead this? And it ended up being great. We finished it. Customer was happy. Handed my dad a check for like $800, and dude, the look on his face was like I walked in and he was eating dinner, and I was like disgusting from the job, and he was like, heck yeah.
Yeah, he's like, can we keep doing this?
He was like, this is kind of nice. I like this. I was like, yeah.
Hope you do.
I hope you do, because that was a lot. So,
man.
Attention, moving company owners. Are you tired of managing your business with spreadsheets and pen and paper methods? Do you want to streamline your operations, increase your bookings, and look more professional to your customers? Then it's time to switch to Move It Pro software. Our cloud-based platform provides everything you need to manage your moving company in one place, from booking and dispatching to payment processing and customer communication. Plus, with features like GPS tracking, real-time notifications, and detailed reporting, you'll be able to optimize your operations and take your business to the next level. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.moveitpro.com to schedule a free demo today and see how we can help you move your business forward.
So obviously that's kind of 4 years ago when you took over. So what's it kind of like now, as far as obviously, and this is, I'm sure there's times you still got to go out on jobs and stuff like that. What's it kind of look like now on a day-to-day that you're having to?
Now on a day-to-day, I'm more or less answering the phone, doing dispatching, and doing proposals. I'm pretty rarely on jobs. This is the first time ever where we've had consistent employees that are top tier. They are. Some of them are going to be taking over management positions for me and doing a bit more work for me. But they enjoy the work too. We've even a friend, someone that was working with us, their friend worked with another moving company. I don't really want to say because I don't want to dog on anybody, but they were working with another moving company and saw how we treated our employees, and we pay more and we did all this stuff. And the guy was like, oh yeah. So we started getting other employees from other moving companies. That's and I was awesome. It's, we pay more. It's smaller. So quality is a lot more controllable, which is good and bad. Cause it's a lot of work for sure. But now the last year I've been on less and less jobs, and I'll show up every once in a while, or I'll show up if we're a guy short or 2 guys short or whatever. But it's definitely a weird spot to be right now. I have a move going on and I don't have to worry about it. Yep. It's so weird.
But the neat thing, and that's one of the big things, I tell every moving company owner, is you have to get off the truck. Many moving company owners, they're stuck on the truck because because of a couple reasons. One might be that they're perfectionists and they can't trust anyone else to be out there, because it is true. You have to be able to trust your guys to be out there and take good care of your customers.
Yeah.
Two is they don't want to make the leap, because obviously it was an investment that you had to make for you to pay someone else to do something you could do while you sit in the office, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
But the biggest thing is that when you're not out there sweating your ass off and trying to figure out how you're going to fit this people's stuff in your truck, you're able to focus on, not saying that those things don't matter, because they do matter. But you're able to focus on the bigger picture of, how am I going to get more jobs for next week?
Exactly.
How am I going to get jobs for the wintertime when we're going to be struggling and we're not going to be able to pay bills? How am I going to make that not happen?
Yeah.
How am I able to focus on those things instead of the here now? That
it's
people
a struggle
do when they're stuck on the truck.
Yeah, because I for the longest time had a hard time with that, and my dad still has a hard time with that. Like,
sure,
he's definitely trying to get better at it. But it's a challenge to be like, hey, sorry guys, I can't help you lift that piano because I have to run the company. So everybody has a job. Like, it's a weird thing to be like, I'm more useful not being here, and I'm more useful being in the office or taking phone calls or doing proposals. And it's weird because, one of the biggest things that my dad taught me was just to work hard. Yeah. And in my mind, working hard is sweating, working for 18 hours straight, like physical labor. And then as soon as I started to flip it and be like, oh no, office work is very hard work. Like, being just customer facing, it
gets your mind. Yeah,
dude, it gets your mind. It can get your body because you're sitting. I have to kind of go to the gym now, so it's weird. Exactly. It's weird, but it's nice to be at this phase of it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
It's awesome that you are at this point in the company where you realized it and know and have already implemented that you're taking yourself off the truck. And I think that is, the big thing is that, you're only one person. And so you being out on the job every day and doing stuff, while you can do an exceptional job, and you probably can do as good of or better job than any of your guys out on the truck.
Oh yeah.
But the reality is there's no way to grow the business to what you need it to be able to provide for your family and your kids, and then hopefully, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
If you're a one-man band out on the truck,
For sure. Yeah.
And this is how you keep better talent too, because if you're out on the truck, that means you're not picking up the phones and you're not booking tomorrow's job and next week's job. Yep. And then, when you finish today's job, you don't have work for your helpers for next week.
Exactly.
And they go find another job. And now when you need them, it's like a cycle.
I love that you're saying that, because that's kind of where we're at right now, which that's why I feel like this month has been kind of a weird month. And granted, now I'm running into an issue where I'm the only one that picks up the phone, but I had bronchitis last week. So I couldn't talk to anybody. Like, I had no voice. So it was like my wife helped me every once in a while but she's a chef, so she has her own thing. Sure. So, it was definitely a weird time. And some of my guys were like, hey, is there any work next week? And it's like, I'm like, yeah, there will be. Trust me, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, so obviously I know that you're a customer of Move It Pro software now. I think you just signed up within the last month or so. I think you were with one of our competitors before.
Yep.
But when did you, not even talking about Move It Pro, but when did you take the leap to get software? Was this something your dad had done in the past, or you had started that initiative and then?
Yeah, no, let's see.
And you can talk freely about,
the other company and everything. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we had Supermove probably, we had it for a year, and then because our contract ended this month.
Sure.
And then I hopped on to Move It Pro. So we've only had a moving software for a year.
For about a year.
Year and a month. And it was something that I wanted to implement. It was something I was looking into because my dad is so old school. So he didn't even have like things on a calendar online. it was just old school. That's all I'm going to say.
It's so funny you're saying your dad's old school. So is mine. And it's funny. I found this the other day. I'm going to show you. So when I came to J&J Metro, to our family's moving company, we had no software. And that was the big thing I was looking for.
Yeah.
Which is why I built Move It Pro, because at that time there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But when I first came there, so this would have been around 2010, when someone called on the phone to get an estimate, we would fill this puppy out here.
Yup. Dude. That's still more than what my dad had, I feel like.
and then we would do this, and we get the camera here. We would do this. Yeah. Where am I at? Right here. We'd do this. We'd rip it off, and we'd go put it in the filing cabinet under their last name.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, dude.
And then when they'd call back a week later looking for their estimate, or they're ready to book, or they had questions, we'd say, "Oh yeah, hold on 1 second, let me put you on hold." And we'd put them on hold. You'd run over there, and you hoped and prayed that you filed it in the right spot. Oh, otherwise, you're going to come back and you don't have it. So it's just funny that we were there too. So is what I was getting at.
Anyways. I mean, it is funny to think that you do what you do to make it work. Yeah, like you can make anything work with very little. Yeah. And my God bless my dad, because he did it with 3 kids and his wife, and we were all homeschooled. So. Which I'm sure helped, because he was able to just have labor. Sure. He had my brother and I. So I started, when I started, I just did little things, having a Google Calendar that I shared with my whatever guys I had working. And I used strictly Google Calendar and Square POS. Yeah. And I was like, okay, he had no centralized customer database, didn't take cards. And I was like, this was 5 years ago. I was like,
what were you doing for bill of ladings and stuff?
I think it was just all paper. Paper. I mean, it either wasn't that or just paper. Yeah. And, so, I started just changing things gradually, just updating things slowly. And it's crazy because you can increase your workload and revenue by just organizing.
Yeah,
I'm like, we're getting probably the same amount of customers that you were getting before, but we're able to double book days because it's scheduled out. And I'm not dogging on my dad at all. He did what he needed to do. He got us through it, and he gave me this platform now to grow. Yeah. So it's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the stuff that he had to do to get by.
Absolutely. And so you had gotten Super Move, and then so you used them for about a year, and then what was it that attracted you to Move It Pro, or what kind of was the thought process there? Obviously, because switching platforms is never fun.
No, it's been a process for sure. I think the biggest reason why I wanted to switch to Move It Pro was the fact that there's an app. It made it so appealing. There's just something about having an app. I can go on my crew's iPhone. I can go on my iPhone. Yeah, it's so much easier. Super Move, you have to use their Android tablet, and it's like an Android tablet from 2012. Gotcha. And it's like the whole CRM is basically the same price. That's right. With you guys, there's just a lot of little things that added up to be a lot, and I was like, oh, I need to make this move. That's awesome. This makes sense to me. And the IT crew, everybody behind the scenes that helped me with the process has been super nice, which is always encouraging. And what's cool is I feel like you especially, but I feel like everybody behind the scenes gets it. They're like, we were started from a moving company, so we get it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you.
No, that's super awesome. And so that's neat that you've, and it's funny because before today, you and I have never spoke.
Yeah.
And it's neat to hear one of our customers' experiences without it necessarily being provoked, or us, one of my people, obviously our people call all the time, hey, how are things going? Is there anything we can do better or whatever? But I hear it through the grapevine that way versus, this is definitely cool. So
no, that's awesome.
So that's awesome. And we're definitely happy to have you as a customer and help you grow. And it's neat. We're in the same state. So that's cool too.
Dude. Yeah. That was honestly kind of another selling point, was like, I don't know. There's something about it being in the same state where I'm like, this makes sense.
Yeah. And it's funny too. We were saying earlier. So for J&J Metro, the moving company my grandparents started, and then I took over. Our license number. So in the state of Florida, it's an IM number. So our license number was IM 120.
Dude, that's so wild.
And I think they're now around IM 4000. I think your guys is what, IM 3000 something?
It's, I don't remember. It's
something like that.
3-1 something.
But it's super cool. I mean, it's just, and not that it matters.
It's crazy though.
It means nothing other than just, we were around a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And obviously we sold that company since, but.
Yeah. So is that company not around at all anymore?
So they are. We sold it to one of our competitors, which was 1776 Moving here in Orlando.
Yeah.
And so they've kept the brand, and they're running them as two separate companies.
Nice. Dude, that's awesome.
So it's super cool that we're able to keep, I think I've talked about it a few times before on other podcasts, but it was bittersweet for me,
Sure.
The moving business, J&J Metro, I never really wanted to be in it, but at the same time, I had a tremendous amount of memories of that company growing up. A lot.
Yeah.
My grandmother, who's passed away now, I remember going there all the time. She'd pick me up from school and we'd go back to the office, and she worked,
Yeah.
And she worked a very long time, and she was a very hard worker. My grandma was. And then when my dad took it over, I was there all the time, and then went out on trucks. And then, so it was neat because when I started Move It Pro, there was no real, game plan that I was going to sell it and turn it into a multi-million-dollar company. It wasn't that. It was, we need software, kind of like how you did. You're looking at your company, and there was nothing out there. There was 3 different softwares, and they hadn't been developed in 10 or 15 years. They'd stopped developing them, super outdated. And I was naive in the sense of I'm going to spend a little bit of money and we're going to build something.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money, but
nice.
It got to the point for me where my dad was fully ready to retire, be completely done. And I was running the company fully, J&J Metro. And I also had Move It Pro on the side, and Move It Pro on the side at that time was small.
Yeah.
Really small. We had a couple employees, not doing a ton of revenue. We were covering costs, but that was about it. Yeah. And then something happened and it completely flipped.
Nice.
And Move It Pro started making substantial money, and I was still dying at the mercy of the moving company in the sense of being on call all the time, being at the office at 6:30 in the morning, helping our crews and just dealing with the stuff
Just doing a lot,
it's just you're very and we had good management teams and stuff, but even still, when you're running a company, you're very attached to it, especially a moving company. When a truck's broken down 5 hours away, you're getting a call on a Saturday night,
dude,
with the crew trying to figure out what they're going to do, and what you need to do and stuff. So then my dad kind of stepped back in with J&J and started helping again, which not really what he wanted to do, but he did it because he knew that Move It Pro was taking off.
Sure.
And that was maybe for another year or so. And then it got to the point where he was ready. Which it was awesome. He stepped back in for me to be able to make a decision. And it came down to I needed to decide what I wanted to do. It needed to be where I need to try and run both companies myself. We need to sell the moving company. We need to figure out which one we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it was a hard thing, but it's neat that we were able to sell it to a competitor that's going to keep the name alive and it's still around. And
it's awesome.
It was the best decision we've made because, which is super cool. We sold it in the beginning of 2020. So not long after COVID started. And, since then, with all my focus on Move It Pro, this year we made the Inc. 5000 list, which was
I saw that.
One of the fastest growing companies in the United States, which is super awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing that's where we're at now. But I don't think we would have been able to be there if we hadn't sold the moving company because my focus would have been so split.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing, but
it's worth it, man.
Definitely happy.
Yeah, being able to focus your attention on one thing rather than multiple is so important.
It's huge.
And that's something that I'm learning because I also started a contracting company with a buddy of mine.
Yep.
And then I'm helping another buddy's manufacturing company. And, it's all things that are going well and we're learning and trying to figure things out. But now, dude, trying to figure out how to just focus on one thing for one day. And the moments I do that, I make strides. Being able to whittle down to this one thing, it's good.
Are you a moving company struggling to keep up with customer calls? Let Lion's Den Booking Service handle your overflow, after-hours calls, or even the entirety of your sales. As a call center booking service, we're dedicated to helping your business thrive. With years of experience and a commitment to customer satisfaction, we'll make sure your clients receive the best possible service. Trust us to take your business to the next level. Contact Lion's Den Booking Service today. www.lionsdensales.com.
For sure. So cool. So next thing is kind of we ask, tell us a little something that differentiates your company, you think, from your competitors, which you've probably hit on a bunch of things already. Yeah. But if I was someone that was moving and I'm calling your company, I'm calling 2 Minute Truck, I'm calling, another one of your competitors in your area that's in Tampa. Yeah. What's kind of the experience difference, or what do you feel is the difference that they would get?
I feel like the difference between us and other moving companies is our quality is much higher, and our quality is much higher. It's because we're so small, which is it's a blessing and a curse because it's hard to just be making ends meet and not making more. But in return, our customers are much happier using us because they know that, they know the crew by name pretty quickly because we have the same crew. They've known me forever. We're a Christian-owned company, and that's another thing that, really that sets us apart, I think, is that, we give our clients, we ask them if there's anything that we could pray for them for, or if we could pray for them in person after the move, because moving is super stressful and it's not fun at all especially for the client. So we open the door for that to try to be a witness in that regard. And, cool. And that creates a healthier environment, let alone between us and the client's relationship, but also my crew's relationship with me, with my clients. No foul mouthing, no dirty jokes. We're going to take it very seriously. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a fun environment. We're not going to be sticklers or religious or anything like that, but we're just going to treat people the way that we want to be treated. Your furniture is my furniture right now, so I'm going to take care of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit as far as, the majority of your jobs, where they're coming from currently, would you say?
The majority, I would say, is referrals, awesome. Which is huge. I'm slowly starting to get out of that because that referrals don't keep you busy. And referrals are great, and I would much rather prefer that over anything, but I'm slowly starting to bleed into lead generations. And we signed up recently with moving.com, where they just send you leads per day or whatever, which I honestly didn't know was a thing until 6 months ago. I was doing research, and I saw this. I was like, it probably sounds so dumb that I didn't think about it before, but I was like, they send you leads? This is wild. So I was like, this is so easy. But yeah, it's probably it's 80-20, 80% referral.
Yeah. So, which is amazing. I mean,
it's huge.
And you really got to realize how amazing that is, because that means that is how good of a job your company is doing.
Yeah.
That people are willing to refer you that much, that's that big part of your business, which is
yeah. And lately recently we hired a SEO company, and we so people are seeing us on Google now, and we have all 5 stars on like everything, which is crazy. And people are now seeing other people's referrals like online and being like, "Oh, I saw you on Google. Someone else referred you," and it's like a thing. And now people are seeing our trucks, and it's cool. It means a lot. And like I've had so many return customers too. I mean, I think on a monthly basis, our return customers, and this includes like contractors and realtors,
Sure.
but I think it's like 40% return.
Wow.
And people, I guess, move more than what I thought.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What have you had any marketing channels you've done that you were like, man, I wish we didn't do that?
We tried Angie's List and waste of money.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm sure it works for other people,
sure,
but didn't work for us.
Sure you didn't.
No. And it was a learning curve for sure, but I was at the end of the contract. I was like, we just blew money.
Yeah. Let us out.
Yeah.
And what about ones? Obviously, I know you just started the SEO and you started the moving.com. Is there any other ones that you're doing that you're like, man, these are amazing? Have you seen that yet with either of those, or it's too early to tell yet?
I mean, moving.com has been great. I feel like it's 50-50 with them, just because it's like, that one client probably gets like 5 calls a day from other moving companies. So it's like, it's hard to kind of stick out. And as soon as you get the lead, you have to jump on it.
Yeah. You have to be super quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is hard to do unless I had somebody dedicated to that, but I'm the one that's doing that.
Yeah.
Plus, and I have 10 other things I have to do. So it's hard to be like,
yeah.
If I was answering the phone with every single call, we'd be booked out for sure.
For sure.
But I just don't have the time.
Yep.
So.
Nope. Understandable.
Yeah.
Cool. What lessons have you learned, good or bad, since you've been running the company?
Dude.
We all have several. So
yes. Yeah. I would say one of the most important lessons is to be over prepared. Whether it's behind the scenes or on actual job sites, be over prepared and take your time. Don't rush any part of it. We've had plenty of times where we don't have enough blankets, so we got to go get blankets, or we got to adapt this way, or our truck's too small, so we have to do 2 loads now, so the customer's mad at us about this thing, or like bummed about it. And so if you need 60 blankets on the job, bring 100. Like
be over prepared.
Be over prepared. Yeah.
And that's a huge thing too, especially with you now being off the truck.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the guys run out of pads, who are they calling?
Yep.
Which is then taking you out of your office role of growing the business to now deliver. I've been there, man. I've delivered more boxes and dollies and pads and tape, and they forgot shrink. We literally, I'll tell you what was the most amazing thing for us when Uber came out.
Oh, nice.
Uber car rides came out was the best thing in the world, and we used to not deliver people. We would deliver materials. We would use Uber.
That's genius.
We would have like don't get me wrong, the majority of the time we drive out ourselves and drop
of course,
it off. But there was a time where we were just the guys forgot shrink wrap.
Yep.
And they're out on a job and they're 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away, and it's just like, man, we can't get out there. We would order an Uber. The Uber driver would show up ready to deliver. Who am I picking up?
Pick up a person.
Picking up this roll of shrink wrap.
Yeah, dude.
And you were delivering it.
That's awesome.
And we'd pay $18 to deliver that shrink wrap, but it didn't matter. We needed to get it out there, and we didn't have the ability to get it out there.
You just make it work.
We didn't have a man available to get it dropped off, so it's funny.
Yeah, no, I get it. You make it work, dude.
So cool. So the next thing I usually do is what's called a lightning round, which is pretty much I ask you 6 questions, which are just more personal questions about you or your thought process. So anyway, I'm going to start the first one. So what's the best piece of business advice you have ever received?
The best piece of advice is probably what I said earlier, which is to be over-prepared and don't rush.
Yeah.
You just be calm. Like, even if the situation, if everything's crumbling around you, still be calm. And I learned that when I went through EMR training when I was a lifeguard, and I was going to get my EMT, and then I ended up touring. It's very much like, if everything's falling apart, stay calm. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that keeps the people around you calm too.
Yeah, because we've had clients where the truck broke down, like, we're going to be a day late, like, blah 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 blah. But I was calm, and I was like, well, I like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. But to the client, I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, we'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. And I've had clients be like, because you were calm, I stayed calm. Like, I could tell that you were figuring it out, but I could tell that you were going to figure it out, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
Well, and they probably could feel your sincere concern that you were going to take care of it.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that you're concerned about it, but that don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to take care of it. So
yeah, there is a plan out there, and I will find it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So what's one attribute or characteristic of a successful founder or owner of a company?
I think the ability to be humble and honest about your failures, and being able to be confident when you fail, and being able to be like, yeah, this was a moment that I messed up. This is my fault. How can not only I learn, but how can you learn so you don't have to go through that? Being able to lead by example, I think that's really important to me, at least.
Yep. That's very good. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Dude, Google Calendar. My life changed when I started putting things on a calendar. I was so in my head about everything. And then years ago, when I was like, oh, there's these things called calendars. Oh, I should probably start using that.
I can get reminders when I need to do something.
Oh, dude, it doesn't have to be locked in my brain. Yeah, it's great.
That's cool. So what's a new or crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had the time?
Dude, the tough part is picking one. I've always been obsessed with, like, starting a lawn company or a pressure washing company, or, like, I have all these ideas of, like, dude, it's not easy, but it's so doable and scalable. Like, it's the one that sticks out, though, which I'm not going to give the idea out because of the people that are listening, but I have an invention. I have an idea for a product. Okay. And I had a buddy who was on Shark Tank, and he didn't accept their offer, but because he was on Shark Tank, he blew up. And I told him my idea, and he was like, dude, do it right now. And I haven't had time to make prototypes, but I have this idea that everybody that I talk to has been like, that would be huge for residential, commercial. It could be used in a lot of ways.
That's cool.
But maybe I can tell you afterwards so no one else hears it.
Cool. What's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I mean, I've said it a few times already, but a lot of customers and new people that I meet don't realize and would not realize that I was in a hardcore band. And I mean, it was hardcore. It was like I was stage diving every night. Like,
really?
Starting circle pits. Like,
you play instruments? Or you play guitar? You're singing?
I played bass. I played bass, and then I also did vocals. It was a crazy time. It was a very crazy time. There was one time I started a circle pit, and I was in the circle pit playing, and someone ran into me, and my headstock bashed my eye, and I thought my eye was popped out because it was all black and I couldn't see. And I just rubbed it, and I came to. I was fine. Not many people would know that I would get.
How many shows did you put on? Do you think? Do you know?
I have no idea. A couple thousand, I think. I mean, I only toured for 4 or 5 years, and it was like a few months on, a few months off.
Yep.
But we did a lot. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And what is one of your most important passions, or what is your most important passions outside of work?
My wife, for sure. But I would say,
good save.
Yeah. I had to throw that one in. Obligated legally. I would say music, for sure. Music, volunteering and working at my church, and honestly taking care of my house. I love yard work. I love fixing my house. Like, I don't know.
That's cool.
It's a huge passion of mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? What's your website and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, our website is KowalskiMoves.com. So it's KOWALSKI moves.com. That's probably the best spot to get a hold of us. The number is 727-688-6306. Yeah, and then we're on Instagram, Facebook as Kowalski Moves as well. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on it, man. I really appreciate it. And it's super awesome to kind of hear your history and your family's, how you got into the moving industry, especially being very similar to mine, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was kind of surreal to be like, oh yeah, I want to talk to you about the moving company. I was like, who wants to talk about a moving company?
Yeah.
But, dude, I'm down. That sounds great.
Yep. That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Well, cool, buddy. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on it. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, man.
Attention, moving company owners. Are you tired of managing your business with spreadsheets and pen and paper methods? Do you want to streamline your operations, increase your bookings, and look more professional to your customers? Then it's time to switch to Move It Pro software. Our cloud-based platform provides everything you need to manage your moving company in one place, from booking and dispatching to payment processing and customer communication. Plus, with features like GPS tracking, real-time notifications, and detailed reporting, you'll be able to optimize your operations and take your business to the next level. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.moveitpro.com to schedule a free demo today and see how we can help you move your business forward.